before I get started here, I just want to say, this is our QUIP program, Emergency Quick Inspection Program. One of the first conversations we had was with Zahn Turner from City of San Francisco, formerly City of San Francisco, and in that discussion, we were telling him we were thinking about starting a BORP program, and he said, boy, I wish, it landed on BORP. I thought maybe someone might rename it one of these days, but that's what it is. And so we put our heads together and we landed on something that I think we like. I will tell you, one of the ones we didn't end up picking was a disaster recovery inspection program, just because we didn't want to call it DRIP. But so anyway, should any of you guys want to deploy one of these programs, feel free to steal a QUIP. Take DRIP if you like it, but this is our program, closely modeled after San Francisco with some input from some other sources. So, we've been talking about most of the day about large-scale emergencies, what's going to happen after the fact, and how we're likely to be overwhelmed. We have utilities and services that need to be restored, critical facilities that need to be assessed first, and some of these things. One of the main reasons why this program for us was advantageous is, Ann's working on city priorities on what are we going to inspect after an earthquake. Those may or may not align with some of the large institutions in town that also have their priorities to get up and running. And so it's really advantageous for us to work with them to pre-qualify a set of inspectors on what they deem as their critical facilities, so we can get as many corporations or entities or utilities or whomever back up and running the quickest. So EQUIP authorizes these institutions to do their own evaluations once some emergency triggers have been enacted, basically. So the way we see our program working is facility owners contracting with a private engineering firm, or if they have qualified staff, they could take it on themselves. Right now we're in a pilot phase with the Port of Portland and OHSU, both of which have a pretty long-standing relationship with the local engineering firm, and both have used that engineering firm as part of their inspection team, kind of blended with their facility engineers. And so that kind of gives us a nice inspection team where we've got our qualified local engineers as well as people that are very familiar with the facilities and the intricacies of each particular building. And so these folks get together, they submit their qualifications, they develop a damage assessment plan, they prepare this application and submit it to us for review. The way we have things set up is a reviewer like myself will review their plan, come back to them with comments like we would do for building plan review, ask for clarifications when we need them, or ask for if there's any holes in the plan, ask for them to kind of flesh out some details a little bit more than they may have included originally. So once we get that in hand, have a little bit of back and forth, then we would finally approve their EQUIP application and have that inspection team in our books as qualified and allowed to do the rapid assessment after an emergency event. Our plan right now is to have a renewal for this every 3 years, or if there's a change in building ownership or inspection team changes, or some building addition or remodel that changes, makes significant changes to the structure. And then, after they've done their assessments in the field, they would work and contact our EOC to give us their data on where they landed on their inspection. So for our evaluation teams, they're led by a registered design professional. Could be a structural engineer, a professional engineer, or an architect with certain qualifications depending on complexity of building. We kind of followed state law as far as if it's required to have a structural engineer's license to design that building. We think it's appropriate that the lead for this team also has that license. So that's really kicks in for significant structures over, I think it's 10 stories or something along those lines. So that's how we have it set up. The team lead is who we would be working with after the event to get their inspection results to the EOC. What's expected to be included in the binder is, some structural drawings, and really, this is the part I'm working on now. Is we don't need details of every connection and all those things. We're looking for, diagrammatic drawings, major structural elements, site plan showing entrances and egress paths and things like that, just so we have a flavor of what the important aspects are for the building. We look for the team qualifications, the assessment plan, and then where is this all going to be housed? I know, the one I've seen so far has given a pretty detailed list of how many ATC booklets they're going to have, hard hats and flashlights and number of binders and pull-out sections of drawings and things for the various team members. We have it set up similar to other BORPs where you may have, mechanical engineers, life safety folks for egress, elevators or hazmat people on that team, depending on the structure type and some of the intricacies there. And then, as I said, they'll report those back to us, just to let they know, one, that they've been able to complete the assessment and it'll strike it off of our list of something that we need to do, and two, give us that data so we can input it into our database and have a fully fleshed out numerical results. So when and how is it activated? So it's going to be when the AHJ declares a state of emergency and the scale of emergency overwhelms our capacity. So like we saw earlier, Lackawanna Lake fault may not trigger an emergency within the city of Portland. So that's something where maybe our inspectors would have the capacity to take that on. Or if it's a localized flooding event up along North Portland somewhere, we'd likely have that capacity as well. We're really thinking about a larger event like Cascadia subduction zone. So that's kind of the caveat on how you could use it. And then what qualifies, obviously it's got to be within your city's borders or your county or whatever. And what we're really focusing on for the city of Portland is large, publicly owned buildings, institutions with campuses like a hospital or a university, or the airport, things like that. We also think that it's advantageous for high-rise commercial structures or high-rise apartment buildings or condo buildings, anything that's housing a large number of people, that we might be able to get those people back housed more quickly if they have an inspection team in place and are part of this program. This isn't really geared towards a single-family residence or smaller wood frame structures that may perform a lot better. And so, like I mentioned, we have 2 pilots right now, Port of Portland. I'm through my first phase of review. OHSU, I'm starting a review on that application this week. And we hope to engage with more soon. We've got informal bets with each other on how many buildings we'll get within the first year. So if you're with Ann, you're rooting real high. So I will just mention, as I've been going through some of these applications, I was trying to think and it really triggered with the Port of Portland. They're doing their emergency operations center. And it's a building within the last 3 to 5 years with a modern structural system that's voluntarily designed to a higher standard that would be expected to perform rather well in an earthquake, which makes total sense that that building might be fully green tagged, fully functional, up and running, and they could get their people out there much more quickly than we might be able to deploy an inspector out there. And so really, a very large apartment building or something built to today's codes, or I think Northwest Natural has a building downtown that's designed to like immediate occupancy standards. These buildings are going to be ones that I'm not sure where they will fall on our list, but it would really be advantageous for them to get that team in place deploy those people as soon as possible, and not have to worry about waiting for a city inspector to come back. So that's kind of a brief overview, and that's all I have unless there's questions